And one of the questions is, how can we enhance, fundraising, in our context? So one of the things I looked at was, you see how, the Western world colonizes, India, Africa. They tell us what to do. They have this mentality that whatever they do is superior to, whatever we were doing before. And the whole idea is, this whole crowdfunding platforms like GoFundMe, Kickstarter, and whatnot, that seeks to, mobilize, funding and all that. They 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 came at a time where we Africans and, Asians and, these you know colonized societies, we have our own ways of doing things, which includes, fundraising, raising money. um, and now they bring in these platforms, and it's sort of like indirectly telling us, oh, this is how you need to raise money. This is how you need to raise funds. So I'm looking, okay, when we, the indigenous societies, when we adopt these platforms, how does it shape our culture? you know we are used to doing, fundraising in our own way, and now the Western world, brings in this technological, advancement, these, electronic platforms, and now everybody wants to migrate and stop doing things the old way. So how is that also affecting our culture, and how can we, navigate the tensions between, our old way of doing things and the new way of doing things in a way so as not to lose ourselves? So that was one of the more qualitative work I did. For quantitative, one thing I looked at was, when you put a project on Kickstarter and you want to seek funding, you talk about the projects, use certain words, and the backers also who are interested in the project also would comment on it. So I adopted an analytical score to see if the alignment between what the founders are saying and what the backers are saying has an influence on project success. So that was the other part of the dissertation, was using more of analytical tools to see if, the semantic homophily, like, what is the founder saying, what are the backers saying, is there an alignment between the words that they are using? And using text analytics tools, I was able to compute, the alignment score, and then use regression to, measure the impact of that alignment on project success. So my work looked at, funding in the West and funding in Africa, so sort of like to bring my background into, what I was doing.
That's very interesting. Did you, so when you say like, did you concentrate only on African like countries when you did this, or did you go more Eastern, like towards like I'm from India, China?
Yeah. It was mostly on Africa. My original contest was in Kenya. So I did interviews in Kenya because they have this fundraising culture called Harambe. And they meet, and they raise money through, like they have like some form of party, like, gathering, and they raise money the old fashioned way. And um that Harambe system, it's very different from, the online platforms of, raising money. So I was trying to see what are the, tensions, and how can we navigate the using Harambe and, GoFundMe in a way, to avoid those tensions, because at the end of the day, people who don't have access to technology would use the old way. So if you tell everybody to use, um, GoFundMe or whatever it is, you are, in a way, sidelining the people who don't have access to technology. You're, in a way, you are telling people that, hey, whatever you're doing, it's not good. We need to move to, what the white man is telling us to do, which is these new platforms. So how can we basically integrate technology into our culture in a respectful way, so as not to erode our own cultural values, you know? So that was the goal, like, that I was looking at. But the implications goes beyond just Kenya or Africa. More so, like in every culture, like India, I'm sure there is you guys have your own fundraising culture, way of doing something. So whatever the implications are, it's about, okay, making sure that the Indian culture, it's not lost, as globalization, continues. Other than that, we all become Western, and we all be doing things, in a Western way, and we lose ourselves in that process.
Yeah, it's interesting. In just a fun fact, it's not true, but I just think it is. In India, like our fundraising is go ask your far relative.
Oh, I
Which,
mean,
go ask your far relative. He's gonna help you.
So hold on, there's nothing like okay, somebody's sick, let's get together and pull
I'm trying to think
money.
like you bring up a very good point. What did we do? To be honest, nothing. I'm trying to think my dad grew up in a small village, like literally had like
Yeah,
10 homes, and like it was just a stretch of like 3 miles or 4 miles, the whole villages, and next village is like probably like 30 miles away. So I'm trying to think like how did they raise fund? I think everybody knew everybody. So it was like more of like there was one person who's well known in the community. They lean towards him, and if he goes and vouches for this person, I think that's how they raise. I might not be correct, but that's what I think when I think about it.
yeah. I mean, it goes beyond, and one of the points I raise in my dissertation is, the whole idea of fundraising goes beyond money. Like in my culture, sometimes somebody might not have money, but if you are contributing to build a house or contributing to build a school, he will say, okay, maybe I have a skill set. I would help build the school. I will provide. Maybe I have land, or maybe I have building materials. So it gives the opportunity for people to contribute non-financially. Compared to these platforms where everything is about money.
Yeah,
So
and the worst part about these online platform is like I love online platform or anything, but the real check of authenticity is a real problem, right?
yeah,
Right, whom am I
yeah,
contributing to and what am I doing and stuff. Like I've been following this guy on YouTube, Ray J Williams. Forgive me if I'm saying his name wrong. Like his is like 2 minutes clips and it's amazing, and he points out like how these most of the go I wouldn't say most of the GoFund, like he covers these stories where they create a GoFund page which is completely fake, and they're just using
yeah.
money to buy their own clothes or just have a lavish life.
Yeah, the authenticity is very fake. They pry on people's emotions, they concord these, sad stories and try to prey on people's sympathy to get money, which is very difficult to do if, like you said, in your community, if it's just a few
Who
people,
knows
everybody
everything
know
about
the
everybody?
other.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So for me, like when I think about fundraising, or when I think about like okay, internet driven culture versus like like more of like people driven cultures, right? When I think about
yeah,
it, I feel like here when it's more of technologically driven, like I feel like I wouldn't speak for everyone, but here I feel like in India, when being a guy, if I grow up, I'll grow up with my parents and I live at my parents' house. Even if I get married or like, whatever, if I'm living in India, I'm living with my parents. So we
yeah,
have a close knit like that. And then I'm close to my cousins, right? But here
yeah,
it's like, what do you call like after a kid like is 16 years old, they go out and they start living life on their own. So I feel like that
yeah.
closeness is is gone.
It's gone. Yeah, the social cohesion. Yeah, like in like Asia and Africa is more of a collectivist society. We are more intertwined. With our nuclear extended family and the whole society. Everybody knows the other person, and people like to come together and do stuff. But like you said, in the Western world, it's not like that.
Yeah, I mean
It's more.
nothing against any culture. It's
Yeah.
just the way it is. Sometimes it works for few individuals. It works few individual. It doesn't. Like it's just like
No, I mean, it's the platforms are not bad. In itself. The only problem is when it becomes like, okay, this is the better way of doing it. That's when it becomes a problem, is that, oh, you've done this platform, it's really good,